All praise to you, how about Shemi Al-Shabbat giving sincere greeting to the brothers and sisters scattered across the four corners, teaching his word with sincerity and charity. Brother Phoenix, Prince of Power Israelites, here with another one of those, refuting Hebrew Israelism. One of those, this is going to be a quick one, y'all. Leviticus 13:30. If you watch the videos, you're going to be taught. I was taught to rebuke sisters having blonde hair or dyeing their hair because it was a sign of a plague, and so that blonde hair it's a cursed hair. Okay, and we use 13:30 in Leviticus to validate that. Let's look here. Matter of fact, let's just start at verse 28. Really, you should read the whole chapter on Leviticus 13 on dealing with leprosy, because there is also, there is text, not text, but there is conversations amongst Israel about, white skin being leprosy and Cain being cursed, that mark being leprosy, and so forth. But to get a better understanding of the law of leprosy and what they were actually looking for, just read Leviticus 13. Just read it slowly. I know a lot of us don't want to deal with Leviticus 13 and Numbers and a lot of the law, because it's just a little tedious. All right, it's a little tedious, but the law is the schoolmaster, and so if you understand the law, you can better understand Christ and what he's done and fulfilled within that law. Verse 28, it says, verse 26, it says, but if a priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hair. And matter of fact, let me start up a verse. Verse 25, it says, then the priest shall look upon it, and behold, if the hair in the bright spot be turned white, and it be in the sight deeper than the skin, it is leprosy broken out of the burning. Wherefore the priest shall pronounce him unclean, it is a plague of leprosy. But if the priest look on it, and behold, there be no white hair in the bright spot. And it's talking about the bright spot. We read up a little more. It's just talking about the sores or the scab that has came up on somebody. I use the analogy of a cyst. If anybody ever had a cyst, and you see that, the bright white spot will pull up. If there's a hair, if there's a white hair or something inside of that scab, and that hair does not turn back brown, then it can be a form of leprosy, and the priest will pronounce you unclean. Bright spot, and no lower than the skin of the skin, but be somewhat dark, then the priest shall shut him up 7 days. And if the priest shall look upon him in the 7th day, and it spreadeth much, and it be spread much abroad in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a plague of leprosy. And if the bright spot stay in his place and spread not in the skin, but is somewhat dark, it is a rising of the burning, and the priest shall pronounce him clean, for it is an inflammation of the burning. Verse 29, if a man or woman have a plague upon their head or beard, then the priest shall see the plague. All right, if he has a plague on his hair and on his beard, or on her head in her hair, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair. If it be in it a yellow thin hair, in what? In the plague, in the sore, in the scab. If there be a yellow thin hair in that scab, this is why the priest has to evaluate. If somebody just has a hair full of blonde hair, your priest don't have to evaluate that. You just come in, everybody look and see that you got blonde hair. Okay, this is something that the priest has to examine and has to look down inside of this wound to see if there's a yellow thin hair inside of this scab or this sore. Then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry scald. Okay, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. And if the priest look on the plague of the skull, and behold, it be not in the sight deeper than the skin, meaning it's not deep inside of the skin. That's what I'm saying. In the sight deeper than the skin, meaning it's a sore that has eaten away at the flesh. You know what I'm saying? You ever seen somebody say, man, I cut you to the white meat? You heard somebody say that? Then the priest shall shut up, in the sight deeper than the skin, and there is no black hair in it, then the priest shall shut him up that have the plague and the scald 7 days. And in the 7th day, if the priest shall look upon the plague, and behold, if the scald spread not, and there be no, and it be in it no yellow hair, then and the scald be not in the sight deeper than the skin, he shall be shaven, but the scald shall he not shave, and the priest shall shut him up, shut him that hath the scald 7 more days. The scald is sore. He'll shut him up 7 more days. Shut her up 7 more days who has that, and they will have to shave their head. You know what I'm saying? That individual have to shave their head, but not the scald, not the sore. You're not gonna shave over the sore, and you're going to, so the priest can examine the sore 7 more days. He'll wait and come back and look at that sore again. But again, we see that yellow thin hair, and we would point that to white people, and we would mock white people and say, hey, well, or not just white people, it's just sisters who put that hair in their head. We would, you know, or if they blonde or dyed their hair, we would say, hey, that is a cursed hair, man. You need to take that stuff out of your head. And again, this just come from us not reading, and we shouldn't be doing that. You know what I'm saying? You should listen to this, and you know, y'all willing, man, this thing is edifying to you, and you say, you know what, I'm not gonna bring that precept out again. You know what I'm saying? Once I read, I said, you know what, I'm not bringing that out again like that. And these things come from people we've trusted who've just given us precepts, but it's ultimately our fault because we're not reading the text. So you know, blessed is he that readeth. We go through all these precepts, but we ourselves aren't reading. We're just watching videos. Shalak, you're watching camp videos and letting somebody else break this thing down for us. And this thing has been regurgitated, you know what I'm saying, for years, for decades. And it's been wrong. Okay, it's wrong. All right, so I know a lot of camps have stopped using it, but there are some that still do. And if you are still using it, it's an error. And it's something that we got to correct, man. We just got to correct these things precept by precept, man. You know what I'm saying? Just got to, you know, slowly correct this thing. It's going to be a long process. It's going to be a long series, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So, hope this thing was edifying to the body, man. You know, go back over to Leviticus 13, read the whole chapter. And if you know, tell me what you think, man. You know what I'm saying? Did we get that wrong? Or do you still think that it's right to, you know, that this is really, yeah, it's some about blonde hair and, you know, cursed blonde hair, and that white people are really lepers. All right. With that, I say shalom.